The Note has always been the phone for the power user, which makes the Galaxy Note 10 a strange addition to the line. But with the cheaper entry into the Galaxy S series having proved to be truly the best option of the bunch, can the Note 10 with the same approach also be worth a look? Hey, I'm Brian and this is the Galaxy Note 10 review. Samsung has always been good at including a very compelling accessory package, a USB-C fast charger, OTG cable and solid AKG headphones. Of course also with USB-C since the Note 10 ditches the headphone jack. It's only worth noting because it's the first Samsung phone to do so, but if you're buying a phone at this price you can probably also afford some wireless headphones. I've not used the port in a long time. While we're already talking about design changes, I want to take a second to appreciate this phone's design. The glass that curves into the side so smoothly you can't even feel the separation, the symmetrical port layout on the bottom and the mirror-like Oro glow finish on the back. For this video I of course went through the effort to make it look super colorful by shining light on it in the right way, but most of the time it's just a silver phone. Still, it's extremely photogenic, just like the front. Almost no bezel save for the small strip along the bottom and only a tiny hole on the top for the front camera. I don't mind this, I think it looks better than a notch and makes the phone look very distinct. Not having it would of course be preferable, but we're not quite at the point of under-screen cameras going mainstream. What the tiny bezel on the top means though is a speaker that fires out the top, which makes the stereo sound not as good as it could be, but still very respectable. Speaking of the screen, it's basically a sticker, like Samsung's panels have been for a while. Extremely bright while offering deep blacks like you would expect from an OLED and colors that are really vibrant as well. What you're probably asking yourself is if the lower 1080p resolution deters from this great display experience. But to be honest, you won't really notice the difference in day-to-day use. This is not the iPhone 11 after all, 1080p is still plenty. Overall, the screen together with the design of the phone just make it a pleasure to look at. What also looks nice are the curves on the sides, but that's about everything positive I have to say about them. They distort the image, and because the side bezels are so small, it's basically impossible to watch a video without accidentally triggering anything on the screen. This is especially awful in combination with the double tap skipping feature in YouTube. And unfortunately, this lower resolution screen does not contribute to battery life at all. To be honest, I don't even want to know how bad it would have been with a 1440p display. With my standard usage of video watching, browsing, messaging and taking pictures, no gaming, the 3500 mAh battery only gets me about 4 hours of screen on time. For a Note, that's honestly terrible. Even the Pixel 3 gets an hour more. At least it charges very fast with a new included 25-watt charger in about an hour, since you'll often have to use that before the day is over. This also shows that optimization is still not a strong suit of Samsung software, even if One UI is vastly better than everything that came before it. The design is pretty inoffensive, even if I still like to use Nova Launcher, setup link in the description. There are tons of customization options and the gesture navigation is solid, especially because it also allows you to trigger the assistant when swiping up and holding. And it also allows you to turn off the long press for Bixby altogether, so the power button is really only that, a power button. I missed the Bixby button though, because now I don't have an extra button to remap to the Google Assistant. What is also just baffling to me is why the power button is now on the left despite the vast majority of people being right-handed, and why there's no way to take a screenshot without the S Pen. Oh, the S Pen. This has always been the standout feature of the Note series, and this is actually my first time extensively using a phone with a stylus. To be honest, I won't really miss it on the next phone I test. The screen-off memos are nice, and so is being able to annotate things easier or to sign documents on the go. But for actual note-taking I have a tablet with a way bigger screen. I just don't find writing on such a small display that enjoyable. And there's no reason why the additional features like GIF creation and Smart Select wouldn't also work on a phone without the pen. Being able to use it as a remote shutter is useful, but the air gestures are just a huge gimmick that doesn't even work most of the time. What I also see as pretty much a gimmick is DeX. It's nice that you can now use it on your laptop with an app, because why would you dedicate a spare monitor to it? But the performance isn't great and the utility is limited compared to just having your phone next to your PC like normal. That performance in DeX is so bad has me surprised though, because in the interface you never notice any stutters, which better be the case with an Exynos 9825, 8GB of RAM and 256GB of storage. The latter also makes me really not mind the non-expandable storage. This phone always feels very snappy with fast app launch times, but of course a 90Hz display would have been the icing on the cake, and honestly expected at this price when OnePlus offers it at way less. It's not like it's a deal breaker though. Talking about things that are slower than on OnePlus, the underscreen fingerprint sensor, but it's still fast enough, faster than the S10 and at least more reliable than an optical solution. And thanks to the always-on display, it's also very convenient. As always, let us finish up with the camera that looks like it's taken straight from the P30 Pro. You get 3 sensors, one main 12-megapixel one with a variable aperture, a 16-megapixel ultra-wide-angle with 120 degrees field of view, and a 12-megapixel 2x telephoto. Pretty much the same setup as on the Galaxy S10, and that also somewhat shows in the pictures. The color accuracy is actually a lot better than previous Samsung phones, even if it's still a bit off and it still tends to overexpose. But the pictures now have a lot more sharpness and contrast, making them go more into the direction of the pixel photos, but not quite. And since you have the 3 focal lengths, it's one of the most versatile cameras out there while offering consistent image quality across all 3 cameras. The pictures look basically the same, which was not the case on the Galaxy S10. I'm also excited to see how it compares to the new iPhones now that they have a wide-angle sensor and night mode. That's because night mode has also been vastly improved. You can now turn it on manually and the brightness and sharpness improvements are actually very respectable now. Selfies look good with accurate blurring of the background, and video stabilization at 4K 60 isn't bad either. So overall, even though the hardware is the same, Samsung has made a lot of enhancements under the hood to improve what was already a top-of-the-line camera before, but they still have some work to do. So what's the verdict? This is a phone that looks amazing, has a great and versatile camera, and tons of other nice additions like reverse wireless charging and the new premium vibration motor. But to be honest, it just doesn't do enough anymore to differentiate itself from the regular Galaxy S line. With the Galaxy S10, you get basically the same camera and trade the cooler design and S Pen for a higher resolution screen and better battery life for 250 euros less. And with an S10, you even get expandable storage and a headphone jack if you care about that. And then there's other options like the OnePlus 7 Pro if you want everything, or the Galaxy S10e for literally half. Unless you really need the S Pen, which, as I said, you might not, the Note 10 just isn't the cheaper and more compelling Note it should have been, because it's way too expensive compared to other options, even if it is a phone I really enjoyed using. And if you do really need the S Pen, just pony up for the Plus version. If you enjoyed this video, you know which buttons to press, and don't forget to press that follow button on Twitter. I'm Brian, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.